Greetings, everyone. You have joined the event being hosted by the Silicon Valley chapter of the IEEE Computer Society, along with a few other chapters as well. I am Vishnu Pendyala, the chapter chair. As the largest chapter in the Silicon Valley section of IEEE, we are proud of our over 3,500 subscribers on our mailing list. We also have a robust Twitter following of more than 12,000. Uh, we hold a unique position due to our strategic location and the wealth of expertise available to us. So today we'll be charting new territories. The topic is multimodal information processing in natural language processing through deep learning and language modeling. Multimodal information processing involves utilizing data from diverse sources like images, videos, and text to improve real-world applications. This presentation will explore how extracting insights from multiple modalities can enhance tasks like summarization, hate speech detection, complaint mining, and medical question summarization. Combining data from videos, images, and texts, we can create comprehensive summaries. The speaker will discuss her recent work in multimodal summarization, focusing on areas like comment-aware multimodal summarization, multilingual approaches, and medical question summarization. The talk will also cover the datasets and methods developed to address these challenges in detail. So today's speaker is Dr. Sriparna Saha. She is currently serving as an associate professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at the Indian Institute of Technology, Patna in India. So it's early morning for her and evening for us. Her current research interests include machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing, and multi-objective optimization. Her H index is 45, which is really commendable, and the total citation count of her papers is 10,616 according to Google Scholar. She is a senior member of IEEE, fellow of IET, and also fellow of IETE. She is a recipient of Lieutenant Rashi Roy Memorial Gold Medal from the Indian Statistical Institute for outstanding performance in MTech in computer science, Google India Women in Engineering Award 2008, NASI Young Scientist Platinum Jubilee Award in 2016, INSA Young Associate Award in 2025, the BIRD Award in 2016, IEI Young Engineers Award in 2016, SCRB Women in Excellence Award in 2018, SCRB Early Career Research Award in 2018 as well, Pattern Recognition Letters Editor Award in 2023, prestigious Young Faculty Research Fellowship under Visvesvaraya PhD scheme for electronics and IT for 5 years from January 2019 to January 2024. She's also a Fulbright Nehru Academic and Professional Excellence Fellow. She received that award in 2024. She received a Humboldt Research Fellowship, Indo-US Fellowship for Women in STEM 2018, and Erasmus Plus Mobility Grant, DO India Fellowship 2020, and CNRS Fellowship. So that's a whole lot of awards. If you want more details, you can check her page, web page on the IIT Patna website. So without much ado, I would request Dr. Saha to take over and present her talk for today.
Yeah, so first of all, thanks a lot, Dr. Vishnu, for inviting me to deliver a talk for this forum. Yeah, so many thanks. So very good evening. It's a good morning for me. So today I would like to talk about my research activities at IIT Patna. So this IIT is the Indian Institute of Technologies are well known for their engineering studies in India, and there are around 20 more than 20 IITs spread in different states, and we are in the east part of India. This IIT Patna is in the east part of India, and here there is a group called the EI NLP ML group, and we are working on different problem statements of natural language processing, because India is multilingual and there are many languages in India, and we are also multilingual, so we often switch between languages when we are writing in social media, or we speak multiple languages. So that's why Indian people are comfortable talking in their native languages or mother tongue. So there is a need of developing some tools and techniques in Indian languages. So that was the motivation of working in this particular area, that can we develop some tools and techniques for the Indian languages. And you know that in general, NLP tools and techniques are available in English. There are many tools and techniques are available in English, but in Indian context, there is not much data sets or tools are available. So my students are also working in developing some resources like some data sets in the Indian context, and many of the data sets are also available in my web page. This is my web page, www.iitp.ac.in /resources.html. So all the resources that my students have developed are available in online, and that you can visit my web page and you can have a look of the resources that we have developed in the last 5-6 years. So basically, let me start with the focus of this today's talk. So, what is multimodality? So, multimodality basically is combining information from multiple different sources. So, and it is having very similarity with our real life. Like we human being have multiple sensors. Like whenever we have to take a decision about an object, we are utilizing our multiple sensors. Like we used to see the object, we used to hear the sound of the object, we used to feel the texture of the object, smell the odors of the object, taste the flavor of the object, and then we are combining the decisions coming from multiple objects and then taking a decision. So basically this is called the multimodal information processing. So multimodal learning is combining heterogeneous data from various sensors or the sources into a single model. So basically, till now there are only several training models where people are only focusing on either text data or image data or the video data. Like most of the NLP models, they are mostly focusing on the textual based information. Like you have these machine translation models where only text to text machine translation models were there, or sentiment analysis where people are only seeing the textual data, and then they used to predict the sentiment of the user. But nowadays there is a focus on combining the information from multiple sources. So that is basically called the multimodality. So but there is also a way to build models that incorporate multiple data types. Like we need to incorporate, we have to add information from multiple sources, like text plus image, or text plus image plus video, or text plus image plus audio plus video. This is called the multimodal information processing. So why multimodality is important? So another important criteria of multimodality is that text plus image are complementary to each other. So basically, languages restrict people to communicate their thoughts with others who speak the same language. So basically, that text and image are complementary to each other. So there are some abstract concepts like the freedom, gravity, etc. So you know that these concepts can be better described using text. Like if I will ask you to express what is gravity, what is freedom, what is love, what is affection, it is better to always express them using text. But how a piano looks like, it is very difficult to describe them using image. Yeah, they describe them using text. So basically, how a piano looks like or how a monkey looks like, it is always better to describe them using image. So image and text are complementary to each other, and some concepts can be better described using text, and some concepts can be better described using image. So text and image are complementary to each other. So there are many problem statements in the NLP where we can utilize both text and image modalities. Like for example, you can see in the left hand side we have shown the example of sentiment analysis or the emotion recognition. Like suppose you have to identify the sentiment state of the user or the speaker, or the emotional state of the speaker. Like we need to detect what the speaker is trying to say. Like suppose two speakers are discussing on a particular movie. You liked it, you really liked it. Oh yeah, which part exactly? The whole thing, can we go? What about the scene with the kangaroo? I was surprised to see a kangaroo in a World War epic. So this way they are discussing about a movie. And if you are simply focusing on the textual utterance, maybe you will not be able to understand the emotional state of the speaker. So you also need to focus on the audio tone and also the facial expression of the speaker. So the audio tone, if the audio tone is very low, then the speaker is sad. And if the audio tone is high, then the speaker must be in the disgust or the angry state. Similarly, the facial expression or the eye movement can also provide us a better understanding of the emotional state of the speaker. So basically, audio and the video plus the textual information can provide us a better understanding of the emotional state of the speaker. Similarly, on the right hand side, you can see some tweets which are collected during a disaster situation. So if there is a disaster, then the physical connectivity is lost. So people stay connected with each other using social media platform. So you know that people are we are collecting the tweets from the social media platform, and these tweets are of two types: relevant and non-relevant. And all the relevant tweets are then summarized, and then the summary can be given to the rescue team, and the rescue team can plan for the rescue operation. So this is called the microblog summarization. And these tweets nowadays are full of text plus images, because they have not only the image part, but they also have the text part. So basically, this tweet summarization is also becoming multimodal nowadays. So based on the image and the text modality, we can detect whether a tweet is relevant for summarizing the tweet or not. So, in the last, 5-6 years, we are working for the multimodal summarization, and you know that there are many tasks where we can apply multimodal summarization. Like we are working for the dialogue systems. So, in the dialogue systems, you know that for the dialogue systems, you know that dialogue systems means that we have to develop a chatbot, like Alexa or Siri. And this chatbot can also process users input either in terms of the text or in terms of the image. So like when the user is, suppose this is a this is a chatbot where the users can either chat like in a textual format, or user can also upload an image, and the chatbot can understand the user specification from the image as well. So we are working with Accenture in developing a sales bot. So like suppose Amazon is having a sales bot, and user is specifying the specification through chat, and sometimes user is not able to express themselves using textual description. So user can also upload some images, and the chatbot should be able to understand the description of the image, and should be able to extract some aspect from the image. So that way the chatbot is also becoming multimodal. Similarly, we are also developing some chatbot in the healthcare domain, like to help our doctors, because in India, if you see the doctor-patient ratio, it is very, very much alarming. So there are very less number of doctors compared to patients. So basically, in order to help our doctors, one of my student has started his own startup, clinical AI assistant. So he developed a virtual doctor or a AI based assistant which can help the doctors in symptom investigation. So this is a chatbot, and this chatbot will simply, help the doctors in symptom investigation. So basically, what happens is that in a big hospital, there is a receptionist, and the receptionist used to guide. Like initially, the patient is going with a self-report, and then the receptionist used to guide the patient to go to a particular department. Now, in a department, there are many junior doctors, and there are many senior doctors. Now, these junior doctors are mostly responsible for asking for some additional symptoms. And after getting the information about the additional symptoms, that they used to prepare a report, and this report is verified by the senior doctor. And the senior doctor used to prescribe the medicine. So, can we replace the junior doctor can we replace the junior doctor by a AI-based assistant? So, given the medical self-report, the junior doctor will basically ask for some additional symptoms, and then the report will be generated, and the report will be verified by the senior doctor. Then there is also a motivational chatbot that we have developed. So this is a kind of a counseling kind of a bot. So this motivational bot will try to generate some empathetic and the motivational utterances. Yeah, and you know that it will try to do a counseling kind of session. So suppose some bot and the chatbot is basically suffering, like a patient is suffering from some mental disorder, and the patient is suffering from depression, anxiety, or bipolar disorder. And we need to develop a chatbot because again, there is a stigma in the mind of the people that whenever they used to ignore the mental health, and they do not want to go to a doctor when they are suffering from some kind of mental disorder. So can we develop a bot with whom they can talk to when they are suffering from some mental disorder? And this bot can simply provide some basic counseling kind of services. And if the bot can sense that there is a severe counseling issue, severe kind of mental health issues, then the bot can connect the patient with a counselor, with a psychiatrist. So basically, the bot's task is to generate some, empathetic and the motivational utterances. So that was the bot. That is called the motivational chatbot development. So you know that, and also we worked on the complaint mining. In my talk, I will discuss that we collected some reviews from the different, like nowadays we are purchasing product online from the Amazon, Flipkart, Walmart, different sites. And then if we are not happy with the product, we are writing the reviews of the product in the online platform. And if the product is damaged or there is a defect in the product, we are also uploading the defected product image in the online platform. So that way, these reviews contain not only textual review but also the images of the defected product. So from these multimodal reviews, can we detect whether there is a complaint or it's simply a positive review? And if there is a complaint, on which aspect the person is complaining, because maybe that a product can have many aspects, like a mobile phone has many aspects like camera quality, battery life, size, color, etc. So now maybe the person is happy with the battery life, but the person is not happy with the camera quality. So on which aspect the person is complaining, so that is also important to identify. So this is called the aspect based complaint identification. And also nowadays people are working on the explainability, like not only binary complaint detection, but also like identifying the reason of complaint is important. So we need to detect the reason of the complaint, that if we are saying that there is a complaint, what is the reason behind this complaint. So this is called the explainable aspect based complaint mining. So basically, we are working on various such tasks. Another important task is cyberbully detection. Like memes are nowadays everywhere in the social media, and often memes are posted in the social media to bully women and children. So there was a project by Ministry of Home Affairs of India given to us to detect automatically whether a meme contains cyberbully or not. And memes are collection of text and images. So basically our task was, given this combination of text plus images, to understand the meaning of the meme and then to detect whether the meme is of bullying nature or it is of offensive nature or not. And there are three additional tasks. We need to detect the sentiment expressed in the meme, emotion expressed in the meme, and the sarcasm expressed in the meme. And also, another important task is, whenever the person is uploading a offensive meme in the internet, we also have to generate some warning messages. Maybe the person is uploading the meme unknowingly, okay, without knowing the consequence of uploading this meme. So this is called the intervention generation or the warning generation for uploading the meme. So these are the several tasks that we are doing in the multimodal information processing. So now I will discuss mostly two tasks in detail. One is called the summarization task, and there is called the complaint mining task. So summarization is a very fundamental task in NLP, and this is a very traditional task. Like people are working in this particular domain for a long time, because it means that there is a long document and we are not having time to go through such a long document. So we have to get a summary of this long lengthy document. And there are two types of summarization techniques. One is called the extractive. So extractive means that you simply select a subset of sentences from the original document, and this subset of sentences are called the extractive summarization. And the abstractive means that you understand the original document and then you rewrite the summary in your own words. Okay, you try to understand the original document and then you try to rewrite the summary in your own words, like our English, like in the school days. This kind we need to use to write this kind of summary. And ChatGPT and the large language models are very good in generating the abstractive summarization. So, summarization has many applications, like, as I mentioned, in a disaster situation, people are collecting the tweets or the social media post, and then they are generating the summary out of them. And that summary is given to the rescue team, and the rescue team is planning for the rescue operation. Legal documents are also very lengthy, and the lawyers and the legal professionals, they are finding it very difficult to understand such lengthy legal documents. So they often need a summary of these legal documents. So basically, summarization technology can assist in summarizing these documents. Then educational contents are also very lengthy. In educational settings, teachers and students encounter vast amount of information across various subjects and disciplines. Summarization tools can help educators create concise summaries of textbooks, academic articles, and the lecture materials. So this is how the summarization has evolved. So there are many tasks around the summarization. Like, obviously, first of all, initially people were working on single document summarization. But then, suppose there is a keyword Taj Mahal. Now, when we are searching with the word Taj Mahal, there are multiple documents around the word Taj Mahal. So can we summarize all these documents together? Okay. So there is suppose Taj Mahal is a single. When we are searching with the word Taj Mahal, we are not only getting a single document, but we are getting multiple document. So this is called the multi-document summarization. Now, when we are searching with the word Taj Mahal, we are not only getting multiple documents, but multiple images and the multiple videos. So this is called the multimodal summarization. Like in the input side, we have multiple documents, multiple videos, and the multiple images, and then we are generating the summary. So in the input, we are having multiple images, multiple documents, and the multiple videos, and we are generating summary, and we are generating we are having a text summary, we are having image summary, we are having a video summary. Then suppose there are multiple documents, and you know that many users are commenting on the document. So suppose there is an article written by a news reporter, and you know there are many user comments on the article. So can we also incorporate the reader's comments into account while we are generating the summary? So this is called the reader's comment towards summary generation. So there is a reader, there is a news document, and there are many readers' comments into account. So can you incorporate the readers' comments into account while generating the summary? So now the another important challenge is that all the readers' comments are not useful for the document. Maybe some users, some readers are simply giving some random comments. So we need to categorize the readers' comments into three categories. Some are relevant, some are irrelevant. So then relevant comments can only be incorporated in generating the summary. And nowadays, the large language models are also there. So can we utilize the large language models in generating the summary? And also, when we are searching with the word Taj Mahal, or maybe when we are getting multiple documents, these documents are written in multiple languages. Not necessarily all the documents are in English. So documents are written in, some documents are in English, some are in Hindi. So documents are written in multiple languages. So this is called the multilingual multi-document summarization. So this is our text, image, video summarization task. So there are a set of text documents, there are a set of images, there are a set of videos in the input side on a particular topic. So the topic could be a disaster event, or the topic could be any other event, but all these text documents, images, and the videos should be related to a particular topic. And then we have to apply some summarization technique or tool, and we have to generate a final summary. And this summary is having a text summary, an image summary, and also a video summary. So when we started working in this particular domain, there was only one dataset available by this Zhu et al. It was a long back in 2017 they proposed this dataset, and this dataset is a very small dataset. There were 25 topics in the dataset. Each topic is having 20 text documents per topic, 3 to 9 images per topic, 3 to 8 videos per topic, and each topic is having 3 actual summaries. Okay, so there were 25 topics, and each topic is having 20 text documents per topic, 3 to 9 images per topic, 3 to 8 videos per topic, and each topic is having 3 gold standard summaries. Okay, so what we did is that we asked 3 annotators, and we asked them to annotate the data in a scale of 1 to 5. And then we ask them, you know, that generate also select few images and few videos as a part of the output. Okay, so the 3 annotators selected few images as image summary, and the few videos as the video summary. So few annotators basically they have they have gone through this data set manually, and then part topic they have selected few images as the image summary and few videos as the video summary. That way they have done this, they have converted this dataset into multimodal. So then we propose this joint integer linear programming based framework first. So our task was to cluster the set of sentences in the semantic space, and also to cluster the set of images. Okay, so basically from the documents we extracted all the sentences, and from the videos we separated the audio part and also the keyframe part. So the keyframes are added with the image set, and the transcripts from the audios we generated the transcripts, and the transcripts are added with the document with the sentences for the documents. Okay, so that way we are having a two set, text set and also the image set. A text set is having a set of sentences and the image set is having a set of images. And then we are applying a integer linear programming, which is a mathematical framework where our variables are the set of sentences, and on the other hand our variables are the set of images, and we are simply applying clustering on the set of sentences, and we are also applying clustering on the set of images, and we want to group the set of sentences, and we also want to group the set of images, so that in the image sentences can be grouped, the similar sentences can be grouped together and the similar sentences can be grouped together. So we are generating a text summary and we are selecting the top k images. And then there is a post processing. So post processing means that we are adding some more images in the image summary, and we are selecting a video as the video summary. So that was the integer linear programming based framework. And then we apply, we have done the same, we solve the same task using multi-objective optimization. Multi-objective optimization has the capability of simultaneously optimizing multiple objective functions. So, when we are clustering the set of sentences or the clustering the set of images, so that the main objective functions are to minimize the compactness and maximize the separation, and also to the maximize the cross correlation between the text vectors and the image vectors. So suppose we have the text cluster centers and the image cluster centers, so they should be similar to each other. So basically that is another objective function. So basically by using the multi-objective optimization, we have simultaneously maximized these three objective functions. So we have used the non-dominated sorting genetic algorithm to simultaneously optimize these objective functions. So these are our objective functions. So we have the saliency of text by redundancy of text. So saliency of text is the compactness. So in the basically text side, we have to minimize the compactness of the text vectors, and we have to basically maximize the separation between the text vectors. Similarly, we have to minimize the saliency of the image vectors. We have to maximize the redundancy of the image vectors. And the cross correlation is basically we have to basically minimize the similarity. We have to minimize the similarity between the text and the image vectors. And also there is another kind of objective function, that PBM is the cluster validity index. So we have to maximize the PBM of in the text modality, PBM of image modality, and the cross correlation. So PBM is a cluster validity index. So these are the things. The saliency is you can see the similarity between in the text space. Redundancy is the cluster center to cluster center distance, which is the separation, and cross-modal correspondence is the dissimilarity in similarity between the text and the image cluster centers. So we are simultaneously optimizing these three objective functions by the search capability of multi-objective optimization. So these are the results. You can see that we are getting 39% Russell score, and that also some so image recall and the precision. So we are getting 98% image recall and 76% image precision, and our video accuracy is also 44%. And RUSEL is basically the summarization metric. So basically, the RUSEL measures that string overlap. So we have the actual summary, and our proposed methodology is also generating the summary. So how many consecutive words are matching? So our methodology is generating a summary. So this summary is consisting of words, and the original summary is also having some words. So how many consecutive words are matching? So that is basically the RUSEL score. So RUSEL score value is 39% in this case. So now there are, there is in our next work, we have basically categorized the images into two categories: supplementary and the complementary enhancement. So basically, that image given the text as the original modality, now the image can be either supplementary to the text or image can be complementary to the text. So text is our main modality or the primary modality. Now the image can either be complementary to the text or image can either be supplementary to the text. So when the adjacent modality completes the central modality by contributing alternate but relevant information, that adjacent modality is a complementary visual enhancement. So the text is our primary modality. Now the image modality can be either complementary to the text or the image modality can be supplementary to the text. So when the adjacent modality reinforces the facts and ideas presented in the central modality, the adjacent modality is a supplementary to the visual enhancement. So this is the idea that now, given the text is our central modality, we are measuring, two quality estimation functions. So we are checking whether, that the other modality is having a quality, or whether the other modality has sufficient quality with respect to the text modality or not. And another thing is a diversity. So diversity means that whether the other modality is diverse enough with respect to the text or not. So one is the quality, that image should have a minimum quality to be added in the summary, and the other is the diversity. The image modality should be diverse enough compared to the text to be added in the text summary. Okay, so if the diversity is very high, then it is a complementary image, and in the diversity is very less, then this is a supplementary image. And if the quality is below a threshold, then we will not consider that image at all. And if the quality is above a threshold, then only we will be considering that particular image. And if the diversity is above a threshold, then that is a complementary image. And if the diversity is below a threshold, then that is a supplementary image. So that is the idea, that first of all, we are checking the quality of the auxiliary modality. If the auxiliary modality's quality is greater than a threshold, then only we are considering the auxiliary modality for the as an enhancement candidate. Otherwise, what we are doing is that we are checking for the diversity. So text sum is the our main modality, and C is our candidate modality. So if the candidate modality and the text sum, this diversity is less than some threshold, then we are saying this is a supplementary kind of modality. And if the diversity between the candidate modality and the text sum is greater than some threshold, then this is a complementary kind of modality. So like here you can see, if our original text summary is the Russian airliner which crashed in the Sinai desert, killing 2 to 4 people, was down by a bomb. Analysis of the black box recorders indicates the plane had been carrying 217 passengers, including 17 children and 7 crew members. Families of the passengers have gathered at St. Petersburg airport as bodies begin to arrive back in Russia. If this is a text summary, if you see the left hand side images, in the left hand side images, we can like images convey the same information which are present in the text summary. So these images are called supplementary enhancement. But if you see the right hand side images are conveying the information. Relatives of the victims created the memorial at the St. Petersburg airport. The ISIS is claiming responsibility for the crash, with both Russia and Egypt deny it. Here they are conveying some information which are not present in the text summary. So these images are complementary in nature. So then we proposed a two-stage approach. The first stage is very, very similar to our previous approach only, where we are applying a multi-objective optimization based approach. Here we are using the Grey-Wolf optimizer for clustering the text vectors and the image vectors together. So we are having a text vectors and the image vectors. So we are clustering the text vectors and the image vectors together by using the Grey-Wolf optimizer, and we are getting a set of solutions. And then in the second stage, there is a visual enhancement engine. And this visual enhancement engine is basically categorizing the images into two categories, complementary and the supplementary. Okay. So it is basically categorizing the images. Some images are complementary in nature, some images are supplementary in nature. So this way we are categorizing the images into supplementary and the complementary. And yeah, and each solution is having a mixture of, like, there is a parameter taken from the user side. So user is deciding in each solution how much percentage of images will be supplementary and how much percentage of images will be complementary. And then there is a post processing. By post processing, we are adding a video in each solution. So we are adding a particular video in each solution. So this is the whole pipeline. So there is a pre-processing. In the pre-processing, we are extracting the keyframes and the transcripts from the videos, and then the keyframes, the transcripts are added to the text set, and the keyframes are added to the image set. Then those are projected in the common space, and we are having the text vectors and the image vectors. And then there is a Grey-Wolf optimizer, which is clustering that set of say text vectors and the image vectors together. And now you know that there is a visual enhancement engine which is categorizing the images into supplementary based on the proximity with respect to the the text vectors. It is categorizing the images into complementary and the supplementary. So, but in all these approaches are applied on the English dataset only. So all the previous approaches, this SIGAYA 2021 or SIGAYA this 20, all these approaches are applied on the English dataset only. So next, what we understood is that there is no dataset available in the Indian context for multimodal summarization. So basically, my students developed a large-scale multilingual multimodal summarization dataset, which is called the M3LS. So this is a large-scale multimodal multilingual summarization dataset, which is having 1.1 million instances, and there are 20 languages: English, Chinese, Spanish, Russian, French, Ukrainian, Portuguese, Japanese, Tamil, Hindi, Marathi, Gujarati, Bengali, Sinhala, Urdu, Pashto, Indonesian, Telugu, Punjabi, and Nepali. This is the largest multilingual summarization dataset, and it is also largest summarization dataset for 13 languages. And first ever for the Japanese and English, it is also cross-lingual because the same news is available in both the languages. So that way, this dataset can also be used for machine translation purpose. So this dataset is generated from the BBC site. Like you can see from the BBC, if you go, there are the BBC web page is consisting of a URL. Then there is a title, there is a date and time. There are some images, and then there is a caption of the image, and there is a summary written by the reporter, and there is a report. Okay, this is the this is a image. This is a page content of the BBC News, and then that we crawl the data from this BBC News, and then my students have written the manual summary for each document. Okay, and this way we have created this data set, and these are some of the baseline results. Like, we have not developed any model, we have executed the existing models only. This random Lit3, TextRank, Centroid, MT5. So these are some existing baselines, textual baselines. These are not multimodal baselines, textual baselines for various languages. And because for these languages, multimodal baselines do not exist. So we have simply executed these models on the existing data sets, and these are some of the results. But for English, multimodal baselines exist. So for English, we have executed different transformer-based multimodal baselines, and we have taken results on these data sets. So this is the data set that we have proposed, and this data set is available from my website, and you can also download them, and you can work on this if you are interested working on these languages. So moving forward, we started working in the field of readers comment over multimodal summarization. So basically, you know that nowadays what happens is that this media houses, in order to make this more interactive, whenever suppose the news reporter is writing a report, they are making this. They are this report. It is nowadays they are making this report online, and then the readers can interact with the reporter. Okay, so that way the readers can also express their opinions regarding the report. Sometimes the reporter is biased in writing the report, so the readers can express their viewpoints regarding the report. This way this is becoming more engaging as well. So this helps in taking the reader's opinions into consideration and also deliver concise information. And this also improves the engagement of the readers into the news report. So this is called the reader's comment aware multimodal summarization generation. But there was a dataset called the RAMDS dataset, Reader's Comment Aware Multimodal Summarization Dataset. And but this dataset was very small dataset. There were only 45 news topics, and you know that this dataset is categorizing. There are 6 categories: accidents and natural disasters, attacks, new technology, health and safety, endangered resources, investigations and trials. These are the 6 categories which are present in this dataset. But this dataset was fully textual. There was no image in this particular dataset. So, like this is a sample from the dataset. Like suppose the news reporter has mentioned 57 people spend Christmas abroad, a cruise ship that has become stuck in the ice in a remote region off the coast of Antarctica, and rescue vessels are at least 2 days away. Australian maritime officials told ABC News. So this was a report. And now you know that suppose readers are commenting that perhaps someone should inform Mr. Goldman on the difference between a cruise ship and an oceanographic research vessel. So you know that basically reporter has made a mistake. This is not a cruise ship. This is a oceanographic research vessel. So the human writer is writing the report. A Russian research ship MV Academic Solasky. So basically, when the writer is writing the report, he or she has mentioned that this is not a cruise ship. This is a oceanographic research vessel. That way, the reader's comment has helped in generating a good summary. So basically what my students have done is that they have made this dataset multimodal. Okay. So they for per topic, they have collected minimum 2 images, maximum 69 images. And in an average 9 images, there are total 528 images in the total dataset. So these are few, like this is an example. This is regarding the Australian wildfire. This is the corresponding news of Australian wildfire. These are the 2 newses of the Australian wildfire, and these are the few images you can see regarding the Australian wildfire. And we collected from the internet, and then my student has also verified this news from the website. Okay, and then we have this way we have made the dataset multimodal. Okay, and then this is the proposed approach. You can see that we are collecting the articles, and also we are collecting the comments from the we have collected the articles, and we have also collected the comments. And then you know that so basically we are giving the articles and the comments to the encoder portion of the transformer. We are generating some features from the articles and the comments, and then there is a visual modality block also, which is taking the images. This is the encoder part of the transformer, and this is the decoder part of the transformer. So the decoder part of the transformer is generating the summary, and there is a discriminator. So discriminator is basically discriminating the generated between the generated summary and the goal summary. So it is trying to differentiate between the generated summary and the goal summary, and then accordingly it is updating the generated summary. Okay, and then basically accordingly it is fine-tuning the generated summary, and once the summary is being generated, that summary is helping in selecting the appropriate image. Okay, there is a visual modality block, and it is taking multiple images, and finally this generated summary is able to select a important image from this visual modality block. So there is an image pointer, so we are not generating an image, but the image pointer, this visual modality block, from the visual modality block, one single image is being selected by the image pointer module. So this is the overall architecture, and these are the results. You can see that our proposed model is giving us rules values of 34.5% and rules on score value of 45.7%. So and also image results are 55.8%. So these are the, that result, one result. So you can see that in the original summary, it is mentioned that a magnitude 5.1 earthquake followed by 115 aftershock shook Los Angeles on Friday night. And the epicenter was in Orange County, which is about 20 miles east of downtown Los Angeles. So there are some hallucinations because it is mentioned 83 residents, but in the generated summary, it is now generating 80 people. Okay. It was mentioned 20 miles east of downtown, but it is generating 25 miles east of downtown. So there are some hallucinations in the generated summary, but this is maybe because of a small size of the data set. The data set size is very small. There are only 45 topics. So because of the small size of the data set, the model is not able to generate the actual summary. But the image pointer is working very correctly. You can see that there are originally 3 images. 2 of the images are correctly selected. Like these 2 images are correctly selected. This third image is also selected correctly, but it is also showing somehow earthquake image. So, and then we what we did, as I mentioned, that all the readers' comments are not useful. So basically, that we have to somehow categorize the readers' comments into 3 categories. So basically, some few of the readers' comments are supplementary, few are complementary, and few are detached. So we need to categorize the readers' comments into 3 categories: complementary, supplementary, and detached, based on their alignment or stance towards the article. And we have used the BART as a classifier. And that, so basically that is the idea, that now we are categorizing the reader's comments into 3 categories: supplementary, complementary, and detached. And based on their alignment or stance towards the article. So BART is used as a classifier. So basically this is the idea. So if you see, this is the article, then based on this article, we are categorizing the comments into 3 categories. So this is the proposed model. So we have news stories, we have the comments, and we have the labels. So there is a classifier, and this classifier is categorizing the comments into 3 categories: complementary, supplementary, and the detached. And so basically, and then this classifier is classifying the comments into 3 categories: supplementary, complementary, and detached. And then what we are doing, we are sequentially adding the comments one by one with these news stories. So we have the news stories, and we are sequentially adding these comments one by one with the news stories, and then we are passing through the LLM for generating the summary. So basically, there is a BART classifier. BART classifier is classifying the comments into 3 categories: supplementary, complementary, detached. And then we are sequentially adding these comments with the news stories one by one in the LLM, and we are generating the summaries. So this is our final summary, where we are sequentially adding the the news stories with the one by one comments, and then we are generating the we are generating the summary by the LLMs. So LLM is now used. So pre-trained LLMs, there is no fine tuning required. So pre-trained LLMs are used for generating the summary. We have used different types of LLMs like GPT 3.5, Bloom, Plant T5, or we can also use these different types of LLM can also be used for the classifier like GPT 3.5, or quotient similarity can be used for the classification purpose. So these are some results. You can see that we use the BART as a classifier, and also that GPT 3.5 is used for the summarization purpose. And these are the results: Ruse 1, Russell score, and the BART score, etc. So you can see that sometimes we are adding all the comments. Sometimes quotient similarity is used. for categorizing the comments into supplementary or the complementary. And sometimes we are extracting GPT to extract the relevant comments. Sometimes BART classifier is used to categorizing the complementary comments or the supplementary comments, so etc. So these are some results with the Plan T5. These are the results with the Bloom. So let me discuss about some other application of summarization. So this is the application of summarization for medical question summarization, multimodal medical question summarization. So here also our objective is to make the problem statement multimodal. So you know that nowadays we are suffering from different types of medical disorders, and before we are consulting doctors, but maybe sometimes before consulting the doctors or after consulting the doctors, just to take a second opinion, we are also writing about our problems in many medical blogs and medical forums. Many medical blogs and medical forums are available, and where many doctors are also associated with, and we used to write about our medical concerns there. And these medical concerns are very detailed, and doctors do not have time to go through these medical concerns in this detailed form. So these are called the medical questions, and we need to summarize these medical questions so that doctors can simply read the summary and can provide an answer to the summary. So this is called the multimodal medical question summarization. So where patients are writing their detailed medical questions, and then the doctors can simply read the summary of the medical question, and they can provide a answer to the medical question. So our objective is to propose make this task multimodal, because sometimes what happens is that when the patient is writing about the medical concern, maybe patient is not aware of the the name of the medical symptom. Okay, but they can simply upload the image of the medical symptom, and they can refer to the medical symptom image, and from the image, maybe we need to understand what are the we need to understand exactly the symptom name. So that way we made this data set multimodal. So we propose a new task, multimodal medical question summarization for generating medical innovation summaries. So we proposed a data set, multimodal medical question summarization data set, which is having 3014 data set. And this data set is having 3015 clinical question summary pairs. And this data set is having 587 unique images as well. So like the images are categorized into 4 categories: ENT, eye, limb, and the skin. And you can see that under ENT, we have these categories: lip swelling, mouth ulcer, swollen tonsil, swollen eye inflammation, itchy eyelid, eye redness, limb edema, hand lumps, foot swelling, neck swelling, knee swelling, skin rash, cyanosis, dry scalp, skin growth, skin irritation, skin dryness, etc. So these are the different categories of the images, so which we inserted in the dataset after consulting. There was a collaborator with this project, who is a doctor from the Indira Gandhi Institute of Technology, Patna, and he only mentioned that these are the images which could be a part of the data set, and these symptoms we can insert in the whenever the patient is referring to the symptoms, the image can be inserted to refer to the symptom. So then we proposed a pipeline-based architecture. So you can see this is a pipeline-based architecture. So first of all, suppose the patient's given image is passed through the CLEAP model. CLEAP is a medical LLM. So CLEAP model is asked to identify the medical disorder which is mentioned in the image. The CLEAP model is identifying the medical disorder name. Then there is a LLM, large language model. So this large language model is used to extract some additional context from the medical disorder name. Like what are the symptoms from the medical condition, discuss it in a short paragraph, or what tests and procedures to be done for the given medical condition with respect to the symptoms discussed above, discuss it in a short paragraph. This way we are extracting some additional context regarding the medical disorder. We are generating some context. Now maybe all the context are not relevant with respect to the image. So there is a context filtration module. So this context filtration module is checking the similarity of the context and the image. And if the context and the image are not similar, then those contexts are discarded. So here the input is the image and the context. And if some sentences are irrelevant, then those sentences are deleted. So context filtration module is taking the image and the sentence, and then this is discarding the those sentences which are irrelevant with respect to the image. The filtered context is given to the another LLM, and now the LLM is given the prompt to write a very short and concise one-line summary of the following dialogue as a question in a healthcare forum, incorporating the relevant medical symptoms in the additional context given below, the dialogue and the additional context. So the LLM is generating the summary, and finally the final output summary is being generated. So we have taken results using various LLMs, like we have used Llama 2, Red Pajama, Vicuna, Flan T5, GPT 3.5, and we have done a ablation study, like what is the necessity of different models, like whether all the pipeline, like in the pipeline there are 3-4 modules, whether all the modules are important or not. So you can see that yes, all the modules are important because Clip Central is having all the modules, and Clip Central is giving us the Russell score of 40.9% and Blue score of 18.6%. So you can see, yes, that Clip Central is really doing the best. So, and also we have done a human evaluation. So human evaluation means that we have taken some summary and we have asked the doctors to evaluate the summary. So you can see that manually when you have done the human evaluation, and we have checked how many symptoms are originally there in the question and how many symptoms are retained in the summary. So you have seen that yes, in most of the cases the summary is fine. So clinical evaluation scores, factual recall, omission rate are good for in by the summary generated by the Clip Central. So basically human evaluation scores are also good for the Clip Central. So next, that what we did is that we understood the previous data set, this Clip Central paper data set was in English. But when Indians are writing in the blogs or in the forum, they do not write in pure English. So they write in the code mixed English. So basically, that was our next work. So we converted the previous data set, the MMCS data set, into code mixed multimodal question summarization data set. So that was the thing. So basically we asked GPT 3.5 to convert by using prompting technique. We converted the previous data set into code mix data set. So we have given this kind of prompting. You are a linguistic expert whose task is to convert the English passage into corresponding English code mix one. So then we have given some labeled examples in English and also English, and then we have asked it to convert the English passage into English passage. So this way we have converted the English text into English, into code mix text. So basically, this way by using GPT 3.5, we have converted the dataset into code mix format, and we proposed but the pipeline based work was not working fine because those GPT 3. This pipeline based work was not able to handle the code mix text. So there was a need of fine tuning the model. So that's why now we have fine-tune the model by the QLoRa-based adapter. So this is our proposed model. So we have extracted the features from the VIP model, and we have also passed the code mix query through the LLM embedding, and then we have concatenated the this VIT embedding with the LLM embedding, and then that this concatenated embedding is passed through the language model decoder, and we have fine-tuned few layers of the LLM by the QLoRa-based adapter. And the summary is being generated in the English because our assumption is that summary will be seen by the doctors. So we can generate the summary in English. So the common people are writing the text in code mixed language code mixed language, but the summary will be seen by the doctor, so it can be in English. So this is the made sum approach, And we have shown results using various LLM like Llama 2, Mistral, Vicuna, Plant T5, etc. And you can see the various results. So, and this is the way we are fine tuning the proposed model for the code mixed. And this is a sample data set. You can see in English we have this. Hi and thank you for your time. My 16-year-old daughter has found some lumps or growths under her skin on her lower legs. They just appeared 3 to 4 weeks ago, starting with one lump on her right calf. She now has 3 lumps right calf, one large lump on right foot. Doctor, you can give a look at patient. Some issue in my legs below and 2 new lumps on her left calf. Ultrasound was inconclusive and they have scheduled a surgical biopsy for 10/8. Lumps continue to get larger each day. I am just seeking a possible explanation or explanations to ease her mind. Thank you again. Now this is a code mix version. हाय एंड थैंक यू फॉर योर टाइम। मेरी 16 साल की बेटी के लोअर लेग्स के नीचे, उनके स्किन के नीचे कुछ गंध या वृद्धियां बन गई है। इनकी शुरुआत 3 से 4 हफ्ते पहले हुई, स्टार्टिंग विथ वन लैम्प राइट कल पर। अब उसे 3 गंध राइट कल पर, वन लार्ज लैम्प राइट फुट पर और 2 नए गंध लेफ्ट कल पर है। अल्ट्रासाउंड इनकंक्लूसिव था और 10/8 को उन्होंने सर्जिकल बायोप्सी का शेड्यूल बना दिया है। गंध रोज बढ़ती जा रही है। मैं सिर्फ उसके मानसिक शांति के लिए एक संभव व्याख्या या व्याख्याओं का तलाश कर रहा हूँ। फिर से धन्यवाद। सो यू कैन सी मोस्टली वी आर GPT 3.5 when it is translating English into code mix, it is keeping the medical terms into English, and it is keep only other terms are translated into English, into Hindi, depending on the context. But the medical terms are kept into English. And the target summary, you can see what are the possible explanations for the sudden appearance and continuous growth of lumps on a 16-year-old's legs. The images shows a medical condition related to foot swelling. The foot is swollen with some redness. So the image summary is always written in the English, and we are also uploading the image as a part of the summary. So these are the results of various models. So Mr. 7B is performing good because these red portions are showing some hallucinations. So Mr. 7B is not having any hallucinations. So Mr. 7B is performing good. So basically, next we have also worked on developing some summarization module for developing some new summarization module for the multimodal clinical documents. So in general, for the multimodal summarization, when we are working for the abstractive summarization modules, you know that people do not put attention in the decoder, image attention in the decoder side. But here we have also done that. So in the decoder side, we have put attention on the image side as well. So you can see that here we have put attention on the image side as well. So we have put attention on the image side. So this way the attention is given in the image side as well. And not only in the encoder side, attention is given to the image side, but in the decoder side also attention is given on the image side. So that is, and also in key queries coming from the question, but the K and the V are a combination of the image and the text. Okay, so sometimes maybe image is important, but sometimes the text is also important. So Q is coming from the query question, but the K and the V are a combination of text and the image. Okay, so these are the two modifications we have done, and we proposed a new architecture encoder decoder based model for generating the abstract summarization for the multimodal in multimodal context. And then we have shown results for 3 data sets: multimodal question summarization, multimodal question summarization in code mix setting, and then multimodal medical dialogue summarization in English, where suppose doctor patients are conversing and you have to generate a summary out of at the end. So and this is our work where we basically proposed a new way of converting the data set into the code mix format. So like that suppose your data set is in English. So how you, with the help of GPT 3.5, you can convert the dataset into code mix format. So we proposed a method called the hint bag. So we identified from some Hindi English code mixed conversation the frequently used English words in Hindi English code mix conversation, and this is called the hint bag. Now, when we are giving prompting to the GPT 3.5 to convert a English conversational dataset into English, we are asking to consult the hint bag. So basically, in the prompt, we are mentioning that always consult the hint bag. And if suppose the word is present in the hint bag, then keep the word in English. Otherwise, you can convert the word into Hindi depending on the context. This way, the hint bag is giving us a hint whether the word should be kept in Hindi or the word should be translated into English. So this way, the hint bag is giving us a hint. And then we use the previous approach to convert the model to generate the summary. And finally, there is a DPO, direct preference optimization based alignment. So we are generating different summaries by changing the parameters of the language models. By changing the parameters, we will be generating different summaries. And then GPT 3.5 is asked to rank these summaries. So some summaries are good, some summaries are bad. So GPT 3.5 is asked to rank the summaries. And then by this ranking mechanism, a reward model is trained, and we fine tune the transformer model to learn this reward model. Okay, so that way we have fine tuned the transformer model, and this is called the direct preference optimization. So this way, this is another work that we have done where we are incorporating the preference optimization into the summarization model. So and also we have as I mentioned that we have proposed this fast multimodal multilingual summarization dataset for many Indian languages, but in that paper we did not propose any methodology. So in our last year IGDAR paper, we proposed a methodology to generate some multilingual multimodal summarization by using IndigBART. So IndigBART is already trained. It is a transformer-based model which is already trained on several Indian languages. So by using IndigBART, we can generate summaries for various Indian languages. And then we are using a image pointer. So after generating the summaries, by using the summaries, we are selecting the relevant images as there is an image pointer module which is calculating the similarity between the image summaries and the image embeddings, and then it is selecting some relevant images as the final image summary. So this is basically the IndigBART along with the visual element for generating the multimodal summarization for the Indian languages. Yeah, so I think I can stop now and I can take some questions. So these are few of the works in my in summarization where we are applying this kind of multimodal summarization, and so basically these are a few publications from my we are like some of the future plans. So basically we are also applying multimodal summarization for cyberbullying detection, hate speech detection. Then another important task that we are doing with the Adobe is if there is a poem, then we are generating the visual narratives of the poem. So it is sometimes very difficult to understand the meaning of the poem. So we are generating the visual narratives of the poem using the diffusion models. Then suppose there is a field called the pharmacovigilance. So if we are taking some drugs, we are suffering from some adverse side effects of the drugs. So that people are writing about the adverse side effects in the blogs or in the forums. So we are collecting those posts and we are trying to understand what are the different side effects of a particular drug people are suffering from. Then fake news detection is another important task of NLP, and many researchers are working in this direction, but there is no dataset available in the Indian context. So we are also working on fake news detection in the Indian context. Another important study that we are doing is the application of NLP for the finance domain. So we have some collaboration with the industry called the CRISIL. So they are interested in applying the NLP concepts in the finance domain, like financial document summarization or complaint mining for the financial data. Or there are many videos available where many experts are giving some financial advices. So can we generate a summary of those financial videos? So these are the various tasks that we are doing. And finally, we are also working with the Sony Research India in developing some recommendation systems. You know that movie recommendation is the one of the key research areas of the Sony Lib, and we are working on how can we incorporate the multimodality for the movie recommendation system. So in general, till now, people in the movie recommendation side, they used to work on the metadata of the movies, like only genre or the producer or the actors. Those information are used for movie recommendation. But no, nowadays, now we are also utilizing the trailer information of the movies. We are collecting the trailers from the YouTube, and that information from the trailers, we are extracting the audios and the videos. And by utilizing the metadata, the movie summary, and the audios and the videos, we are trying to develop some better movie recommendation models. Yeah, so these are some of the future research directions that we are working on, and some recent publications. And then, yeah, to thank you in a multilingual way. So I think I can take some, if there is some question, I can take.
So if you have any questions, please post it on the chat. In the meantime, I'll probably ask a few questions. Yeah, it was really very insightful talk. Thanks for sharing all those insights. So I was curious, you created a new architecture for the health summary, right? So how does that differ from the transformer architecture?
So basically, this for the health summary, we basically used a new kind of attention. So if you see carefully our architecture, so in general, in the transformer architecture, they used to give, like, first of all, this is a multimodal kind of setting. So where we are taking the question and also the image. So because when the people are writing the concern, they're not only writing the question, they're also uploading some images. Okay. So basically here there is a contextual image fusion attention model. So this is our proposal basically. So there is a new kind of attention, and this attention is basically from the key value is coming from the question, but the K and the V are a combination of the image and the text. Okay. So basically the K and the V, and there is a parameter which is trainable parameter. So how much importance we are giving to the image and how much importance we are giving to the question, that depends on that particular question and the image PR. So suppose if for that particular sample, maybe your image is not much important. So then we will put more emphasis on the question. But if the image is very, very important, then the more emphasis will be given to the image part. So that way, this parameter is trainable, and we are basically, it's not only in general in the intermodal attention, given the Q is always coming from the question and the V values are always coming from the image. But here, the K and the V are a combination of the text and the image. So we propose this new kind of attention model. And also another important thing is the incorporation of the image in the decoder side also. Okay, in the decoder side also there is a attention image cross attention. It was never there in the transformer model, but we introduced the image attention in the decoder side as well. So these are the two modifications that we have made in the transformer model.
So the main difference is in the key and values.
Yeah, key and values in the encoder side, and also the decoder side, we have used the image attention in the decoder side, because in the normal attentions, they do not put image attention in the decoder side.
Okay, so the the network configuration, that part you did not change at all.
No. Network configurations, these feed-forward connections, add normalizations, these remain same. We only made some changes in the attentions.
Let me see if there's any question. Okay, there is a question. Oh, it just says, thank you, very informative talk. Okay, I'll ask another question then. So you talked about visualizing poems, right? So I was
Yeah.
curious, do you have a data set for that?
So we are also we are also creating a data set, because especially in the Indian context, all the old poets, poems we are collecting from different sources, and like ground truth data we do not have, the actual images we do not have. We maybe only have the cover page image, but we want to generate multiple images, like we are segmenting the poems into chunks, and then for each chunk we want to generate a image, but the ground truth data we do not have, so it's all manual verifications.
Okay. Yeah, there is a
But
question.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
where?
No, we are simply collecting the poems from the online sources.
Okay. So do you have to be mindful of the copyright issues and things like that because you're collecting data online?
These poems, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are only collecting from wherever there is a free licensing.
Oh, okay.
So
So you're
yeah,
taking
yeah,
care.
we are keeping this in mind. Yeah.
Okay. So there is a question in the chat window. Can you comment on compute requirement of multimodal compared to single model? Which compute platform like CPU, GPU is?
Yeah, so that is a huge, yeah, obviously. So we are using GPU servers mostly. So obviously, when you are using the multimodality, you have to extract the features from the images, videos, audios, and also text. So it requires huge computation. So if you are comparing the complexity level, so these are very highly complex models. Like though we are using in most of the cases the pre-trained versions of the models, like in my last like the whatever we have shown in the last year's models, we are using the pre-trained LLMs, but still it requires the GPU accesses. So so it's very time consuming, also very complex models. So the compute requirements are very high.
So are you, to address that issue, are you using any quantization techniques or any other pruning or anything like that?
So like when we are doing this fine tuning methods, we are using the QLoRa based adaptation, QLoRa based fine tuning. But still we need to have GPU accesses, GPU servers.
So you're not, you're using the full model, you're not quantizing it.
No, you are not quantizing it.
Oh,
We are using the full models.
oh, that's a lot of compute, right? So IIT
Yeah.
must be having a lot of compute then.
No, IIT Patna is not having the compute. We are collaborating with other institutes also, and also we have some industrial collaborators. Yes, and
Okay.
we have some local servers, but otherwise also we are collaborating with some industries, and we have some foreign collaborators. We are collaborating with them, and or we are also cloud-based platforms are there, like Vast AI and etc. So there we are running our experiments.
Okay, there is another question in the chat window. For inference to be used widely, say in hospitals, is it possible to reduce the requirements to use only CPUs?
So yeah, so this is a very good question. So in that case, I think maybe we can have a cloud-based system, or yeah, so this is another future study, that how can we reduce the computation and we can run all these experiments in a edge devices, or in a GPU based platform. So people like pruning, and what Sarah has mentioned, this truncation, pruning, or quantization. So these are the studies people are doing, and like developing some small language models, because now we are working with the large language models. So can we have some domain specific small language models, like instead of running this GPT 3.5, if we have a very small language model specific to the healthcare domain, so maybe we can simply execute that and have the same result. So that kind of study now we are we are doing. So instead of having these LLMs having running a small language model. So yeah, so that study needs to be done. But as those LLMs were in the market and those are pre-trained, till now we have used the LLMs only. But in future we would like to really want to do those experiments.
Okay, and when you say video summarization, is the summarization multimodal, or you're just using the transcript?
There was a very interesting study that has already been done. They have shown that if you are generating the transcripts and also from the key frames you are key frames you are generating the captions. So everything you are converting into text and then you are generating the summary. This is giving equivalent result. Okay. So that way we were also working in the text modality only. So like from the key frames, we generated the captions, then we generated the transcripts, and then we are generating the summary. So there are two approaches. One is this multimodal, and that is this text-based summary. So we are exploring both, both the sides.
Okay. There's another question on the chat window. Does the
That's
DeepSeek model suggest or change the direction of multimodal research in any way?
Yeah, we need to explore that. DeepSeek just introduced few days back. My students have started exploring that also. Yeah, I think yeah they are giving very good results. They are now competitors of this GPT models. So maybe yes, because again we need to change the directions. But yeah, but what I can only say is that these models are doing extremely good for the in English or this Spanish, these languages, but they are not good in the Indian context. So there is still a lot of research that has to be done in the Indian context. Like especially in the Indian context, there are many low resource languages where these models are not doing good. So basically, for example, these languages like GPT 3.5 or GPT-4, they do not have cultural knowledge of India. Okay, when we are asking some specific culture related questions to GPT-4, they are not able to answer properly. So there is a need to develop some India specific LLMs or low resource language specific large language models. So there is a focus now, Indian language, Indian government also. There is a special call. So can we develop some generative AIs specific to India?
Yeah, that's right. So that also brings up the question, it's used in DeepSeek, right? Did you try using a mixture of experts?
Yeah, mixer up experts. Yeah. In some of my research, we have tried mixer up experts. Like in my some recent research, we have tried mixer up experts. But not like in this like just in recent times, but mostly knowledge diffusions we have tried, like distillation knowledge distillations we have tried. Yeah, so this is also a very interesting study, the interesting area of research that people are interested in.
Okay, I think DeepSeek, okay, so that was the last question on the chat. I think